So I haven't given y'all an update from the last race. That's because I was very disappointed in the results, but I learned a lot. So I went to streetcar bragging rights in Aiken, South Carolina, at Carolina Dragway, and I was so excited about being able to race some of the baddest ladies in the country and actually be able to be competitive. This car is so slow. It's frustrating a lot of times because I can't compete. I can't compete with it. I enjoy racing it, but it's not fun when you're like 2 seconds or more slower than everybody else, right? So I found this series called Women in Wheels that does this bracket racing, and any woman can enter, and it's really great because you can, I beat, fast cars before, and I can really have a good time and actually be able to be competitive in my slow car that I love very much. I built this car pretty much from the ground up. I mean, it already had mods when I got it, but I pretty much have redone everything on the car. I spent the last 4.5 years building it, just to be frustrated because I can't compete with all the faster cars that are out there, right? So I found this great series called Women in Wheels, and I found that in early 2022. But the car was really not ready for travel racing yet. I didn't have a trailer, and it was too risky to break things, to travel somewhere and break things without trailering it, because most of you know this car has a tendency to break things randomly. Axles, drive shafts, you name it. It likes to break stuff because it's a Mercedes. It's not meant to be drag raced. So that's just the reality of it. But anyway, so I found this great series, but I wasn't ready to race in it yet. So I was gonna do the first one in Dallas because I figured I could drive there, and if it broke, I could get rescued. Eurocharge Austin's not too far from there. I have a lot of friends in Dallas, so I could be like, somebody could, bail me out if something broke in Dallas. So I said I'll do Dallas. I wanted to bring in the Crossfire because this one broke. It had a damaged head, so I brought the Crossfire, which was fine. I had a great time. I was able to go to finals, and my Crossfire runs like 12.0, and I went to finals. That was so great. I said, wow, I actually have something I can really finally compete in. This is great. I had never done bracket racing before. I'm a grudge racer, so and sometimes, I've done pretty good grudge racing, but I can, basically almost never win unless I get really lucky. I have no chance of winning. And I've never been to finals. I've been to semis, but I've never been to finals. So this was a new thing for me. And so anyway, I decided for 2023, my main focus was going to be to run in at least 3 Women in Wheels races and be in the contention, the points series. So I wanted to do that, and I wanted to go to Florida 2K again. I really would like to go to finals in Florida 2K. I know that's going to be tough. I went to semis last year. It was my first year. I really wanted to go to finals, so we'll see. That's in October. But anyway, those were my 2 goals for 2023. So I wasn't originally planning on going to streetcar bragging rights, the Women in Wheels class there, because it just didn't really fit in my schedule. But my schedule wound up working out to where I could go. So I went and drove the 10 hours, and I had a great time. I got to run some badass ladies, some fast cars, and really have a great time. So in round 1, I beat a G8. I'm not sure what happened. It looks like she may have spun off the line. Her car is very consistent. She cuts a good reaction time. They didn't give us the other person's slip, so I really don't know what happened. I probably need to ask her because I'm actually curious to see what the win difference was, and why I beat her so easily. I think she spun. Anyway, so I got to go first because I was the slower car, and I never saw her. I've lost by breaking out before, and I said that's never going to happen again. I didn't think I was going to break out, but with this car, you just don't know. It was running faster and faster every round. So I said, you know what? I don't know where she is. I don't see her. She's way the heck back there. I'm going to let out. So I let out, and I still ran I think I dialed in an 11.10 and I ran an 11.18, and that was letting out at the 1,000 foot. I did beat her by how much, I don't know. She was definitely gaining on me because I did let out at the 1,000 foot. My trap was a whopping 113 miles per hour, y'all. It was my trap. But anyway, but it was fun. It was a blast. I love getting to race these fast cars. These fast ladies are badass, and actually having a shot at winning. You know, all I have to do is either be the luckier girl or just drive a little bit better than them. So it's just, it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Second round, I thought I had this whole Stefan at State Capitol Raceway help me, teach me how to deep stage. I thought I had this, you know, I was great at deep staging, right? And all it took was one little change that I wasn't expecting. So I bumped my first bulb, and then the girl beside me bumped her first bulb and immediately bumped her second bulb. And I was like, oh shoot, panic mode, right? I'm like, this is not how I was trained that it usually works, right? So I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And I just kind of panicked. And so at this point, I had to not only light my second bulb, my stage bulb, but I also had to bump into deep stage. And I only had like 7 seconds to do it. So I panic mode, I freaked out at this point because I had 7 seconds to do 2 bumps. So I just kind of panicked, didn't know what to do, and I bumped through the beams. I bumped through the beams, y'all. It threw me for a loop because I panicked. I think I would have had enough time if I wouldn't have panicked, but because I panicked, I actually bumped too hard because I was rushing. So I bumped too hard, and I bumped through the beams, and that was it. I was out. So I learned, I would say never do that again, but the thing is with deep staging, that can always happen. It's always a risk. And there's always the risk that the driver next to you is going to purposely try to throw you off. So I have to be prepared for it. So I'm going to start doing some bracket racing locally. So that way I can practice under, you know, locally without so many emotions in it. You know, if I do some local bracket racing, I don't have so much invested. I'm not traveling far away. It's not a point series that I'm passionate about. So it's not really a big deal if something like that happens. It's not going to be this big panic mode for me. It'll give me more experience. So when I do travel race, I'll have some of these situations will happen locally, and I'll get to have experience with that. And so I won't panic so much if it happens to me when I'm on the road, if that makes any sense. So I'm planning on, I thought about going to the Women in Wheels in Oklahoma City, but I'm not, it's just not going to work. It's the last day of school. I've thought about bringing the Crossfire, and I'm not bringing this one because Mark can't take that day off. He can't go with me, and that's a long drive, and it's just too much for me to drive that far and do everything on my own and still be competitive. I just think it's too much. So I'm trying to dial it back down a bit. I might bring the Crossfire. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but I'm trying not to do too much. What I'm probably going to end up doing is No Problem Raceway has their bracket series that Saturday the 20th, and I'm thinking about bringing this one to that bracket series. They have a 7-0 class, and I'm thinking about getting in the 7-0 class just to get more experience. No, not 7-0. Oh, it's a streetcar class. It's a bracket race. And I'm thinking about bringing this one and doing the bracket race, and just choose your own dial in and just, again, practice bracket racing locally just to get some experience, some more experience in that. So when I do travel to the Women's and Wheels races and whatever, I cannot get thrown up by so much. I think I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's just, I do good as long as nothing happens that throws me off that I'm not expecting. So if something happens that I'm not expecting, I'm too new of a racer and I panic and I'm not able to overcome that. So I broke out in Bradenton because I had to end up, this one broke and I had to run somebody else's car, and he had a different dial-in than me, and I didn't want to fool with a different dial-in and all that. I didn't want to confuse the people in the tower. So I said, we'll just keep your dial-in, but I just had to remember to let out, right? Well, I forgot to let out, so I broke out in Bradenton. So just little things like that. Little things put me into a panic mode, and I just don't know what to do, and I panic, and it all goes, it just all goes to hell, right? So that's kind of what happens. So I think I need to, dial back a little bit and do some local bracket racing just to get some more experience. So that way I don't panic so much when these little things that don't quite go quite as how I'm expecting, right? So anyway, but I did have a great time. I love meeting and racing with all these badass ladies and actually having a shot at winning. It's nice to be able to have a place finally where I have somewhat of a chance of winning or going to finals or even semis, you know. So, and Florida 2K was the same. I was running 1050 class in Florida 2K, and you know, that's kind of I wasn't index racing, but you know, this car, it can run 1050. It depends on if it wants to. It was doing pretty good in Florida 2K though. It was doing pretty good. I think I was the number 2 qualifier. So, shocking, I know, right? I think I was the number 2 qualifier in 1050 in Florida 2K. So anyway, that was my first ever bracket index race ever. Like, that was before I even did Women in Wheels. That was my first ever, like, bracket index race ever. And I went to semifinals, right? It's kind of crazy. And then my first ever Women in Wheels, I went to finals. So I like to think I'm naturally pretty good at this. But we'll see. Time will tell. The thing is, I'll never know if I keep making mistakes. So when I got out in Bradenton because my car broke, and because then I broke out. Got out in Steel because my car broke. And then in this last one, I got out because I rolled through the beam. So I've never actually lost. Well, I did in Dallas. I went to finals in Dallas, and I lost fair and square. My car didn't break. I didn't panic or freak out. Nothing happened. She was just a better driver. That's bottom line. She was just a better driver. Every other Women in Wheels races, something happened where I didn't actually, like, lose because I legit lost. It lost over something stupid. So I'm trying to get to where I'd stop losing over stupid little things, you know, to where I can actually have a, you know, make sure I go out with a good, clean race, fair. You know, I lost because I just didn't have the right dial in or didn't have a good enough reaction time. That's why I lost. Not because my car breaks or this other nonsense that happens, right? Or because I panic. So I'm trying to get away from that. But only experience will help with that. The more experience I get, the better I think I will get at the panicking. As far as the car breaking, who knows? I mean, it's a Mercedes. Who knows what's going to happen with this stupid thing? Any given race, right? But I want to give a shout out to my husband, Mark, for just being the best crew member. He's really, you know, really come through helping me get everything set up. We got the streetcar bragging rights like within minutes of the first qualifier for Women in Wheels, and we were ripping these straps off. We got this car off the trailer faster than I ever thought we could get it off the trailer, right? We got it off real fast, and got to make the first qualifier, which was good as it turned out because it wound up raining for the second qualifier. So it was good that we made it. And I also want to give a shout out to Streetcar Takeover and also the guys at Streetcar Braggin' Rights that run that event. It was such a flawless, it was just such a great event. I felt like everything went smoothly. I know some people said otherwise, but as far as me, everything went smoothly. The only thing that happened was I rolled through the beams. I talked to Thomas at no problem. He said, Crystal, there's nothing anybody could have done. You rolled through the beams. You were out. There's nothing the track could have done. Stager, nothing. They couldn't have backed you out. Once you roll through the beams in a competition, in elimination, that's it. So I can't fault the track or anybody else for that. That's what happened. And that's just the reality of what happened. So that's the risk you take when you're deep staging. So I'll keep that in mind in the future. I do feel like I have to keep deep staging because I'm foot braking this heavy car, and I won't tell you what my reaction time normally is with shallow staging, but it's not good. So my reaction time is much better deep staging, so I think I'm going to keep doing it as long as the races that I go into allow it. My car does run slower deep staging, so I have to keep that in mind if I'm doing any kind of index racing. But for the meantime, I'm going to keep deep staging. I also want to give a big shout out to Sophie Fox, the lady that runs Women in Wheels. She's done a great job. I know she had to make some tough calls on Saturday, and I don't envy her position at all. Personally, I would have ran any girl in that class. I was ready to run them. I purposely went and practiced deep staging so I could run any girl in that class, and I wouldn't complain about no damn trans brakes. I wasn't complaining about nothing. I'm like, bring it. In steel, I was cutting better reaction times than any girl at streetcar bragging rights. I was cutting .03 reaction times. The best reaction time at streetcar bragging rights was .06. So I wasn't complaining. I was like, I can do this. I'm like, it's going to be tough now. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be tough, but I got this. Me and my car, we got this. Unfortunately, I rode through the beam, so we didn't get to find out, but I sure would have liked to have been able to run more of those badass girls in actually bracket racing. I got to run 3 girls in qualifiers, but it really wasn't fun because they were faster than me, so it wasn't, you know, in the qualifiers, it's heads up, so you both go at the same time, so that wasn't very fun. You know, so I only got to actually run 1 round in streetcar bragging rights, which was the most disappointing thing. I didn't even mind losing. It was just disappointing that I only got to run once, you know. That was disappointing to drive 10 hours and only get to have 1 race. I would have been like, hey, can I just like run y'all for free? Can we just run for free just so I can have some races, right? That's the kind of how I was feeling at that point. Like, I don't even need to, like, you know, go rounds. I just wanted to run you girls. I just wanted to run some of these badass girls, and I was disappointed I didn't get to. I was actually in tears. I was so sad because there were some of the girls I really wanted to run, even if they won, because I just know they're such great competitors, and I just love it, you know. I feel like I'm addicted to it now, and I want to do it so much, and I don't get these opportunities very often. And that's why I drove 10 hours to do it. So I could run some of these girls, but I didn't get to because I rode through the beam. So anyway, that's why I was so frustrated about the whole thing, because I just want to race. For years, I've been doing this grudge racing thing where it's just not very fun because the cars are way faster than me. But I'm still willing to do it because I love racing my car. And I finally found this place where I fit in this bracket racing where I can actually compete with my car, with my slow car, right? I can actually be competitive and actually have some fun, close races, you know? So, anyway, there will always be next time. Dallas isn't until September or something, so I'm already registered for Women in Wheels in Dallas. I'm probably not going to make Oklahoma City as much as my heart wants to do it. I just, it's the last day of school, and Mark can't take off of work, so it's going to be, you know, very challenging. Unless someone wants to come with me and trailer my car for me. You can even drive my little Mercedes, come with me. Somebody wants to come with me and help me trailer it and help me get it off the trailer and all that, all the things that Mark normally helps me with. It's just, I mean, I can do it by myself, but it's really, really tough to be able to do it all on my own, drive the whole way by myself, and then still focus on racing and not be exhausted. I just don't think it's a good idea. And, you know, like I said, Mark can't come. I can't even get that day off. I would have to leave straight from work, but there was some talk that we may get out of school early if all our stuff is done, all our grades and everything are done, we might be able to leave early. So if anybody wants to help me out, wants to drive with me, help me out, I could make it. Otherwise, it's probably not going to happen. I won't get to race in Women in Wheels again until September. Whenever Dallas is. And that would be my last Women in Wheels race for the year. There are no others that I can possibly go to because they're so far, and Mark doesn't have the vacation time, and it's just not going to work out. So then I'll be looking into 2024, which is fine. You know, it's fine. I'll be looking at next year, being a serious contender, hopefully, and having some more fun. I just need to, in the meantime, get some practice in and try to figure out this whole bracket race thing and just stop making mistakes. So anyway, thanks y'all for watching. I look forward to any tips or advice on bracket racing. I think this is my new love is bracket racing. This is something I can be competitive in, guys. So any tips or advice on that, or deep staging or anything. Some people think deep staging is cheating. I think trans brakes are cheating. Anyway, I know they're not, but I'm just saying, You know, if I'm foot braking my car and you got a trans brake, I should be able to deep stage. I'm just saying. That's my opinion on it. It's my newfound groove I'm going to get into. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.